From flexible solar panels to making energy while you walk, there's no shortage of ideas to help save our ailing planet and your pocket.
What we really want to do is that we save energy for the customer.
And there's no shortage of investment either.
This is the most interesting opportunity in the coming decade.
$1.8 trillion is expected to be invested this year in clean tech, the sector that's sprung to reduce our carbon emissions. It's a lot of money for thousands of entrepreneurs, but can these businesses really reshape the future? From idea to scalability, politics to policy, on this episode of Transforming Business, the promise and problems of the clean tech sector.
That's a very good question. So yes, I do cycle every day to work.
That's Matthias Martensen. We grilled him on his personal green credentials. He told us about his green business, a German company that's created clean tech software. The app helps people switch from fossil fuels to renewable energy and allows them to monitor how much electricity they're using, when to use their devices to help save on their bills.
Every hour throughout the day has a different price. So in the morning, it's actually quite expensive. It can get cheaper when there's a lot of sun, for instance, and then it can also get more expensive. And we want to shift the customer consumption to those times when it's actually cheap.
Matthias is one of the thousands of new entrepreneurs that see a gap in the market. Clean tech or clean technology, new products that we need if we're to help save our planet.
It's an enormous privilege to be here on Earth Day to join in signing this historic agreement.
The shift to newer and more eco-friendly ways of living, weaning off fossil fuels, got a real boost 8 years ago. Global leaders signed an agreement to try to limit global warming to a level in which we'd still be able to live comfortably and have a somewhat thriving nature. That temperature is 1.5 degrees, and the deal done was called the Paris Agreement. Then came a commitment from EU states.
The European Green Deal is for the climate, but it's also for the people.
By 2050, they've pledged to remove the same amount of carbon emissions from the atmosphere as they put in. But a seismic shift in how we consume energy came last year with the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Countries scrambled to source oil beyond Putin's pot, and they backed the long game, investing in green energy supplies.
Our next story this morning.
Then in the same year, the US landed an absolute punch with its Inflation Reduction Act.
This bill is the biggest step forward on climate ever.
It's got an interesting name for a climate bill, but it does the job, right? And a few other jobs. And it will finance a lot of new experiments that hopefully will mean great positive change for society.
That's Jorn Hannes talking about that strike from Joe Biden's administration. It includes $369 billion for the climate, like tax credits for clean tech. Jorn leads climate investments with a venture capital company, a company that makes investments on behalf of people who have the money to make more money while solving our planetary problems.
We invest across 3 domains: Africa, climate, and ocean. But all of these domains will have a climate angle to them. It's because we recognize that as the most important challenge of our time, but then also the most profitable to fix.
We're already seeing the number of investments in clean technologies now surpassing those of fossil fuels.
So we've gone from something like $300 billion being spent in 2010 to $1.8 trillion being spent this year.
Akshat Rathi is a climate journalist and writer.
Most of the money that is being spent on renewable energy deployment. So that's on solar, wind, and overall the gap between what needs to be spent now, which is 1.8 trillion, versus what needs to be spent to stay on net zero is about $4.5 trillion.
This year, it's expected almost $660 billion will be spent on renewables, around $380 on making energy more affordable, secure and environmentally friendly, and just over $330 on upgrading electricity grids. The rest will be spent on technologies like electric vehicles and capturing carbon. But it's not enough to limit the planet from slipping into further climate crises. And that huge gap in investment is something regional powers are all too aware of. The United States and the European Union spent the most on clean tech in 2022, but it's China that's dominating the industry.
It now has a stranglehold on the battery supply chain, it has a stranglehold on battery manufacturing, and it is the largest manufacturer and seller of electric cars globally.
Yes, yeah, so the current wings are being built in China.
Lauren Eatwell is the head of a product called Wind Wings, Sails for Ships. The sails work as an auxiliary power source, the idea to reduce fuel consumption and save on carbon emissions. Lauren says that on average the sails save on a vessel's fuel usage by 3 tonnes per day. To put that into context, that's about the weight of 6 grand pianos. The sails were designed by naval architects based in the UK and are made in China.
So our main supply chain is in China at the minute, and that's been really great for actually getting a competitively priced product to the market.
Last year, China accounted for almost 70% of mining for the minerals the world needs to meet its climate goals. The US ranked a distant second, and then Australia. The raw materials are used in products like solar panels or wind turbines, and China leads globally in processing these materials.
At the moment, globally, and Europe in particular, is extremely reliant on China for many of these critical supply chains.
Andy Kerr works for an EU-funded organisation that works with all stakeholders in bringing to market new technologies that move away from fossil fuels.
From our perspective, the issue is how do we diversify? And for that, you need innovations in parts of Africa, in Latin America as well, in a way that supports local development of supply chains, that supports a change in approach, which doesn't then become so reliant on China.
This dependence on China is something the EU and the US are trying to move away from. They want to meet climate targets without jeopardising geopolitical autonomy and economic competitiveness. All three are focusing on money injections in their own green internal markets, and the EU is even looking to mine again for some of its own minerals and materials. But how can such insular approaches help reduce emissions or improve energy security globally? And in the EU, despite widespread climate agreement, policies for innovations to take effect have not caught up. Take Ostrom as an example in Germany. Making the switch to renewables through their app won't be possible for much of the country's population that live in apartments.
So in my flat in Berlin, I have district heating. So there's a central power plant which produces the heat for an entire district. There's nothing you can do. You will be stuck with it. You can't really switch away.
And the company's idea of having people monitor how much energy they're using is not possible unless the consumer forks out around €100 for a smart meter. Mandatory rollout of smart meters doesn't take effect in Germany until 2025.
In Germany, 99% of the meters are not capable are not ready for our model. If you look in the Nordics, it's completely reversed. So we decided we are selling our own smart meters to actually be one of the first leaders here in Germany.
Largely, our problems, and I say our as in Europe and the world, they are political. They're not technological. We have the technology to do the things we want to do. It's a matter of priorities. And so if we prioritize differently, we're going to be just fine. The question is if we will.
And it's a good question for Europe, certainly. It will need additional investments of more than $670 billion a year to meet its clean tech energy goals. And the health of our planet needs to be kept to the fore beyond political gain.
We are seeing a lack of capacity and capability within public authorities to actually help shape some of that market conditions that allows these things to scale. We are absolutely seeing a lack of mobilization of funding and finance, and in particular that blend between public and private money to help things scale.
Public money won't be enough. Take Windwings. To get their product to market, they secured investments from the EU and from the largest company in the US, Cargill.
So we were actually contacted by Cargill a long time ago, many years ago, to help them assess different wind technologies that are on the market using our simulation tool. So that partnership with Cargill and with MC Shipping later on with the retrofit is really what's given us the ability to develop that product and bring it to market.
Going back to the original question, for clean tech companies to really reshape these scenes, there's no doubt there's a funding deficit. And a policy shortfall that's having a knock-on effect on changes taking effect. If we're to keep to our climate commitments, we'll need $4.5 trillion annually by the early 2030s. We'll need large corporate actors, banks and huge pension funds rallying their weight behind the climate cause. And we'll need better sharing of resources and innovation through wider political manoeuvring. Because for now, the security of our planet and the clean tech shine are quite a distance away.